Happy to meet again. Thank you very much, Oyon, my good friend. He is working in US now. And thank you very much for your appreciation note. I really appreciate your feedback. It helps a lot to grow. And like you requested about a short videos to understand the fast communication process, effective communication process, persuasive communication process. Let's try to speak something on that. Communication is my forte, you all know that. I have done my major on that, and I really can talk about communication for the whole day. I love that particular subject, and it gives me a lot of energy. What happens when we try to do a communication, I'm not sure if you have seen this video, there is a social experiment where a man is reciprocating an action of a motorbike start and asking his fellow members to do the same thing to another, and in the process of the communication the particular act is getting distorted and something funny is happening. Now understand that the action was not a complete communication. When you talk about communication, by definition, communication is about sender and receiver using a medium. And of course, the medium should reciprocate feedback. So, if a communication is missing the feedback, then it's not a communication. In that particular social experience, it was one-sided communication where no feedback was there. My point here is that we really need to find out for what reason we are willing to do the communication. That is the number one takeaway. So that will decide upon the content that we want to speak. Now when we say that we have certain content that we want to speak, we have to design the intent of it. Do we really think that the same kind of communication that we are trying to make to our loved ones, to our family members, will be similar in action in our work environment? No, we both are in IT domains, and there are a lot of IT guys out there who are who probably are facing the same kind of problem, and we have to talk about a lot of production, we have to talk about a lot of development issues, we have to talk about a lot of go live scenarios and all, and where we have to communicate to our subordinates, to our bosses, to our clients. Understand that everywhere when we are communicating, the person is different, and by definition, if the person is different, their observation power, their understanding elements will be different too. So it is very important that once you design the content, you have to design the intent too. That is the number one thing. Second would be practice adding value to yourself. When you have to actually speak an effective communication that could serve your purpose, you have to add lot of values to yourself. Values in the sense, like, I'm waking up today morning and I really need to think about what I'm gonna add to my own self that will help me. We have been doing a lot of activities to progress in our corporate lives, in our social life, but does those activities are really adding enough value addition for your growth? What kind of growth that we are expecting? That is something would be very important to design an effective communication. The subject is really very vast, and in one video it may not be able to complete. So what we will do here is that we will design two videos, part 2, and I'll say something very encouraging in the second part, because I'll give a glimpse here before I go to the third point. We all have happy chemicals, we know that, right? Dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, endorphin, these are all my happy chemicals, which is surging inside our brain, give me a happy feeling. And these chemicals helps designing our communication. And someone says correctly that these are all angel's cocktail. Like we have angel cocktails, we have devil's cocktails too. So those are sad chemicals. So we have to design the communication in certain way that it actually helps surging these chemicals into the receiver's mind. So we'll talk more about this in the second video. Let's come to the third point. when you are trying to do an effective communication, try to find out the effect of the communication. Is it going to be bad? Is it going to be good? That is also important. The effect of the communication will decide your feedback. Unless and until you have a feedback, you really do not know that how your communication made some value to the receiver's mind. So effect of the communication is something that's very important to actually anticipate before you make the communication. Now probably there will be certain kind of talks available where they would say that, if you have to say something, you have to say it. And I do agree on that. If you really need to say something, we have to say it without fearing of anything. But then we have to understand the reciprocation of that particular communication, because words, once spoken, cannot be taken back. So it is better that what we are speaking is regulated. But that doesn't mean that we won't speak. The way a communication defines, this is the fourth point, the way the communication defines about executing a task, creating an intent. The similar way, communication also defines the ability of listening to someone. Now there is a difference between hearing and listening. You can hear, all right, go on, you say, then I'll say, keep on saying, I have some points to make. That is hearing. But when you are listening, you are actually listening. Once you listen to others' communication, you will be, or we all will be, able to design our feedback in a certain way. So let's take these four elements at this point of time, and once we go into the second phase of the video, we'll talk more about the happy chemicals and sad chemicals, and that will be more energetic, more helpful. We really don't have that much of time today. I have to go to take my daughter, but then thank you very much for connecting, and I'll be connecting real soon. Thank you.